Today we're going to be cooking some Asian-inspired glazed pork chops that are going to be really good for the family. It's a beautiful bone-in pork chop. They're real easy to cook, they don't take very long, and they got tons of flavor on them. First thing we got to do is we got to get these things in the brine. I brought with me today some of the Hasty Baked Dang Good brine, and that's what we're going to be putting on here. That brine is good on chicken, it's good on pork. You can even brine beef with it. Right now we're going to do these pork chops and they're absolutely beautiful. But I got to get the brine going first. All right, so with this brine, you got to go about 1 cup of brine to about 1 gallon of water. So that's what we got in here. I just want to mix it up good so it gets nice and distributed. So it really does the job of breaking down these pork chops. The whole point of a brine is to tenderize and add some flavor. So we got some beautiful herbs in here. We got some wonderful peppercorns. We got some citrus. We got some honey. There's tons of flavors that go into it. And they're generic enough you can use them for just about anything. We're going to take these beautiful pork chops, put them right in the brine. Now you don't want to brine for too long. An hour is perfect for this. On a chicken, sometimes I'll brine for 3 or 4 hours, but when you got a cut of meat like a pork chop that's real thin, an hour does the job. We're gonna go ahead and get these pork chops going. Now remember, we're doing an Asian style grill on them. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna glaze them in a little bit when we're all done kind of grilling them off, but I gotta get them seasoned first. And because I wanna consider the fact that I'm using an Asian glaze, I want to do a real simple seasoning. So we're talking kind of salt, pepper, garlic, some butter, that type of thing. Nothing too extreme, nothing too barbecue-y, because you want it to complement the Asian flavor really well. So we're going to take these, I'm going to hit them with 2 things. The Bama-Q butter bomb. I want you to see what this brine did. These pork chops, when we pulled them out, were a little stiff. I want you to see how wiggly those are. That's what happens when you have a good brine. It breaks down all that tissue, allows those to be super tender, so when we grill them up and the meat tends to seize, which it's gonna do over heat, they're nice and tender and you're gonna get a really good, smooth, clean bite. And just to complement our flavor, a little all queued up grilling time. Again, kind of a salt, pepper, garlic, a little bit of sugar, but not much. Nothing too overpowering on the flavor. We're gonna let the sauce do that. The reason we don't put the sauce on the front end is because the sauce that we're using, the soy, the teriyaki, all that type of stuff has a lot of sugar in it. If you leave sugar on the grill too long, it turns bitter and gets black and charred. We don't want to do that, so we'll glaze them when they get close to being done. But for the time being, we're going to leave all that sugar stuff to the very end. We're going to get these pork chops on the Hasty Bake Grill. Now I have my firebox here set in about the bake position. The reason I want it in the bake position is if it was all the way up at sear, it would start to kind of create a crust on these things and not give me enough time to smoke. It would cook them too fast. If I drop it all the way down to smoke, it'll get some really good smoke in it, but it's going to take a long time and I'm not going to get that kind of Maillard reaction. So I want it in the middle so I get that beautiful crust on it. We're going to put these things on. I'm running about 350 degrees. We're going to get a good char, a good sear on the front end, and then I may drop it back down a little bit lower so we get a little bit more smoke in them before they're done. All right, we'll kind of keep flipping these, get some good char marks on the outside of them. We'll put them to bed in the smoker for a little bit. 130 internal is what we're looking for, and then we'll get that glaze going. Now that these pork chops have been on the grill for a while, they're getting kind of close. I'm gonna pull them at 145 internal, but before I do that, when they hit about 130, that's when I wanna glaze them. We're gonna make that glaze right now. Now we're just eyeballing these ingredients. You can kind of come up with your own ratio of whether you want it to be sweeter, more glazy or whatever, but these are the basic ingredients that I use when I'm doing kind of an Asian styled rub. Not very complicated at all. We're gonna start off with a teriyaki sauce, and you just need enough to really form a glaze. That might have been half a cup or so. The teriyaki is gonna give us some sweetness. Got the soy, gonna bring that sodium in. Some dashes. Gonna do some minced garlic, probably about 2 teaspoons or so. And then the last thing I'm gonna do, maybe not the last thing, I got one more. I got some ginger I'm gonna put in there. That ginger and the soy really bring in some of those flavors. I don't know, 8 or 10 smacks. This is the thing that scares you when you get it on the grill. When you have the kind of sugar that's in honey, it's gonna want to char. So this is why we put it on at the very end. Gonna use probably about, I don't know, maybe a tablespoon or so of honey. When this is all mixed together, that honey is what's gonna congeal it all and give us a good glaze that actually stays on the pork chop rather than just runs off into the bottom of the grill. Stir that up. As you're stirring, take a look at the consistency. If it's not thick enough as a glaze, you can add a little bit more honey, maybe a little bit more teriyaki. Kind of keep tweaking back and forth. And don't be afraid to test. There's no ingredients in here that are raw that you can't eat. So if you're wondering, you stick a finger in, see what it tastes like. It's actually a little salty for me, so I'm gonna add a little bit more teriyaki. And I didn't get enough bite from that ginger, so feel free to add a little bit more ginger. Last taste, see how it goes. That I like. You can attempt these pork chops as long as they're around that 130 mark. We'll go ahead and give them glazed up. Our internal temp looks good. We're going to go ahead and glaze them up. Minute on that side. We'll let it sit. We'll flip them over. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and prepare our side for these Asian style pork chops. A lot of things you could do, kind of a stir fry side. Today we're just gonna go real simple with some white rice. The cool thing is we can cook white rice on the grill. You're not gonna get any smoke in it because we're gonna cover it up. But if you already got fire going, why waste the heat, right? So we're gonna start off with 1 cup of white rice. Slowest white rice pour ever. Our pot. I have put a little bit of foil around the pot just to protect it from the fire. If it's a pot you don't care about, that's fine. But if you only have a pot that you normally use inside the house, some foil when you put it on the grill is nice and easy. Then instead of using water, I really prefer to use chicken stock. Now chicken and pork are real interchangeable when it comes to flavor. Beef stock would probably be a little overpowering with pork chops, but chicken stock is a nice good flavor. It's gonna kind of bring out some of that umami flavor in the rice without being real bland. So we go 2 cups of stock to 1 cup of rice. That'll feed probably 4 or 5 people as a side. Gonna give that a little stir. Today we're gonna be heating this up on the HP 250. It's a steak cooker's grill. It's a portable grill that you can take anywhere, out to the lake, down to hunt camp, down to fish camp. It doesn't matter. The thing weighs about 30 pounds and it fires up really quick. So we put some heat in it. We're gonna get this up to a boil, cook our rice just like you would on the stove. Asian-inspired marinated pork chops. These are absolutely gonna be killer. When I was cutting it, was just kind of wanting to fall apart, which means that brine really did its job. The glaze really came together on it. It's shining absolutely beautiful, but the real test is how does this thing taste? Oh my goodness. Sauce has got so much pop, that garlic, that ginger. Nice and tender pork. Good amount of fat with those bone-in pork chops. That's the importance of buying a really good cut of meat, using really good ingredients, taking the time to do things like brine your pork so it ends up really tender. You can't beat that. And realistically, wasn't very hard at all. I mean, you guys saw it, probably 5 or 10 minutes of prep work, throw it on the grill, do what that grill does, let it do its job, and you end up with a beautiful dinner like this. We can't wait to dig into this. Thanks for being here with us today.